Hello everyone, we're back again. As you'll notice, the pond's a lot quieter. Waterfall is switched off. We are now turning the system round to start it running in its winter mode. It might look a bright day, but it's really clear skies. We're getting frosts on the morning, so it's time for us now to make use of these dry days and get stuff done before the weather really changes. I will explain to you more what I left off on the last video about how my sieves become my bio chambers through the winter and what I do there different. So the main pumps, where there's two of them, which are 14,500 litre pumps. One comes off that clean side of that sieve, another one which comes off the clean side of that sieve, have been switched off. They are replaced with the two spare pumps I had off my old pond, which are fitted into the outlet. Well, it's just become the outlet of the skimmer, which used to be obviously the skimmer's intake. So now, as mentioned, we are going from the bottom drain in the pond to the drum, through the drum, into the clean side of this sieve. Water then gets taken. As you can see, I've got the air stone in there ready. I haven't put the K1 in yet. We'll discuss more about it in a minute. I made these stainless steel guards which will stop the K1 from going through into the next chamber, which is then going to be our feed to the 10,000 pump that we put in the skimmer that we just talked about. So yep, from the drum in here, boils up in the K1, passes through the grid, down through the outlet and back into the pond that way. That setup is exactly the same on both sides. So I'll show you. As you can probably learning by now, I've got a bit of thing for symmetry, OCD, more or less. Running the system like this through the winter months is a lot more efficient for me, as you imagine. First off, trying to retain as much heat as we can from the ground. Then electricity running costs. The two 10,000 pumps are a lot cheaper to run than the 14,500 pumps which are in the sieves. The Evolution Aqua 130 litre air pump, which runs the two Nexusists up the back, is switched off and just replaced with a cheaper 45 or 50 litre pump, which is underneath the hatches down here, which now is going to just supply the air feed to these two temporary bio chambers. The UV, which is an 80 watt amalgam UV submergible inside of me waterfall chamber, is switched off, so there's a save in there. Okay, I'll just show you fish enjoying the change in flow that they're not used to. Shark get used to that. That will be directed down towards the bottom of the pond before I cover over with the thermal balls, which we'll see either later on in this video or in another one. The air stones that used to be in front of the skimmers to stop the food going into the skimmer where the fish were eaten are now just simply moved into the clean end of the sieve, or what used to be the dirty end of the sieve, but it's now going to be the clean end. So that's ready just to act to aerate the biological side for us, keep it going through the winter a bit. We'll just switch that on, see what that looks like without any K1 in at the minute. So that'll be boiling away nicely through the winter. Same over here. I put these pieces of pipe across the top of the grid, help wedge it in place. Also stops the K1 from climbing over, it falls back on itself. Okay, so all we're going to do now is get as much of the K1 as we can out of the nexuses and put it into the new temporary bio chambers for the winter. See, the back decking still gets a lot of sun, but fortunately pond full shade now in the winter with the sun being a lot lower, which is why I do have plans for next year, make a bit of a sort of insulated greenhouse filter house that will look like a bar to disguise it, keep us going a bit longer hopefully. So I'm just going to simply net out a load of K1 into a bag from the Nexus, transfer that into the temporary bio chambers that we're going to use for the winter. So I'll do that and then I'll get back to you. Okay, now that's the K1 transferred into there. Got 4 Morrison's bag for life worth, 2 big bags of K1 in each chamber. Not quite sure what that equals out, but it fills the chamber enough and it should be more than what I need for the winter months, as there won't be much feeding going on or ammonia produced. Helps also when it comes back to summer, I can transfer this media back into the Nexus and give them a good kickstart off in the spring again. So what we'll do now, we'll just go and switch the air back on, keep that media moving. And then in this next chamber I am going to put the bio house media, I believe it is. You'll see in a minute anyway, which we discussed the other day underneath the decking in the Backy River. That will be covered out of there, transferred into here, so we'll save as much of the good bacteria as we can going into winter. So here we are again, one of the hatches up in the Backy River to the vortex part, which houses the Backy house media. We'll get that out of there, give it a bit of a rinse off, and then we will add it into the sieve. So I'll just do that now. Alright then, now with that all done, we can now see the biohouse media is transferred into the other side of the chamber. So I probably don't need to do it, but I'll do it anyway. Just we've lost quite a bit of surface area of my biological side now of the back decking, but we'll just use some bit of pure filter start just to get things going if they need to, if I've disturbed it too much. Right, put the air back on. and that just leaves me get the lids back on these. There's a hole in the lid, so the pipe comes through the top, and that should see me through until I have to put the covers on, which will be probably in the next video now, because I just wanted to use the good weather that we still had left to get this part of the transformation done from summertime running to winter. So next time I come back to you, it'll be putting the pond balls on and seeing that everything's good before we really go into the thick of it up here. Thanks again for watching, thanks for subscribing, I'll see you next time. Cheers.